I want to turn the camera around though. There it is. Okay.
I'm looking at all your little tripod stuff because I need to be started doing this also.
Oh, yeah, I picked this one up in Taiwan. And was I no, in Malaysia.
Yeah, well, yeah, no.
But you know, because those Asians, they just have all
They
this
do.
creativity, and I know I
Yes.
wanted something smaller than the big one that I have.
Yeah,
And so,
they do pretty well with that.
yeah, all right, so I've got
I
that
think
going.
they're all engineers on some level.
I think
the babies.
Yeah, their parents instill in them that they're going to be successful at, you know,
Lot of
XYZ
STEM
things.
stuff, yes,
And they
yes.
just go for it, you know?
Yep, they do.
Okay, so here we are live. I'm not doing the introduction yet, I'm still setting up.
Oh,
I've never done this on time yet, so I'm not worried.
I'm just hanging.
Oh, geez, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good.
The weather's gorgeous. I'm hearing from all kinds of people like you just did, that I have not heard from in a long time.
Yeah.
For good reasons, and they're helping me out. I'm going to be doing a national video series, as a matter of fact, on this material. I was asked after I oddly sent out this email to somebody I haven't seen in a year or more.
How
And
cool.
she goes, "Oh my God, this is so important." And she's Italian, right? And she's taken this whole thing and set me up with a videographer and blah, blah, blah.
What?
So I'm looking at your equipment here going, okay.
Oh, that doesn't make you nervous at all, I'm sure.
Well, it's
I hate these things, I'm just gonna
yes
tell you.
and no.
They all make me
yeah,
nervous.
I know,
hate
the
them.
tech stuff, as long as I know somebody's got that end of it,
Yeah.
she can take care of that. She's 25, right?
Oh, that's lovely.
That end of it is for sure.
Okay, yeah, I only do these things because I absolutely have to. You know, like I can't get out of it. It's the world we live in. And
It's true, we can't just turn away.
yeah, so I've got a lecture that I've done on this, and I'm gonna pull it up even though I'm not gonna
Oh, wonderful.
talk through, because there's some foundational principles about matters of the heart that I really would like to get through.
Cool. I mean, I'm here for it. I just need to leave around 2ish because
Oh, Lord, we
I've got a Zoom thing.
No, we only have this room until 2, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I've been doing, this session typically lasts about 40 minutes. 40, 45, something like that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's been working out, honestly. I have a good time in a room by myself talking to the video camera. This is the
Me and all my
craziest thing.
invisible friends.
I'm
Really,
just
the
like-
room is full.
I found it is more fun when there are people who ask questions because the banter and the back and forth with the audience, I actually enjoy. So that's been nice. But I'm looking at other venues as well, right? Like if the library isn't a
Yeah, the
good venue,
libraries.
then I'm looking at other options.
There's something about a smaller space holding the energy better, you know, in terms of
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
coming together. We
Right.
love this library, but it's so quiet. It makes me nervous.
What? The quiet is my favorite part. I hate when the library's loud.
Oh, really?
I'm like, whose idea was it to make the library loud? Like, I don't
Well,
like this
there
at
is
all.
that. Yeah, it is.
It's
really,
No, I'm just-
it's really quiet.
Yeah, okay, so this isn't pulling up, I don't like that. Okay, so that's who's gonna go off of memory. Cause we always get to improvise.
We do, don't we? We better know how to do that
That's-
these days.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna check one more place. And if I can't find it, it'll be faster on the phone, this computer's being misbehaving.
I like the idea of markers.
Oh, we have a whiteboard, and whiteboards are my favorite.
Lots of colors since I'm an artist. That's very
Uh-huh.
important.
Yes, I try to reach, all the people.
Yeah.
So that's been good as
We've
well.
got ones and skinny ones and little nibs. And
No, I mean like the artists, the
No, I
scientists,
know, yeah,
all the
yeah.
different, yes. Let's see. Oh Lord, this was back in July. Well,
While
that
you're
was-
looking, I'll just let you know that we're on for next week. Jonathan
Oh,
and
good.
unite at Angel Kitchen if you like Angel Kitchen.
I love Angel
Oh.
Kitchen, and I haven't been there in a little while, so that'll be
Oh,
really nice.
I love Angel Kitchen.
And I can find food there that I can eat on my diet, so that's
Oh,
great.
yeah, yeah, no,
So that works out.
she's a really neat lady who owns it.
Yeah. All right, let's see, Keith. I should be able to look it up under Keith's name. I sent it to him once. There it is.
Up since 5, writing curriculum.
Oh my.
Myself, funny you should mention it.
Oh, doesn't that sound fun? Okay, I did send it to Keith. Did I send it to Vincent? Who is it? Come in.
It's me.
Hey.
Hi, sorry I've been busy ever since whenever you come in. The flyer that you gave me,
Yeah.
if it's the same schedule, I
Mhm.
updated to put the location and it's on the bulletin board.
You're the
So it's been up
best.
since probably like Wednesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I never see you. Why are you so busy now? I don't like this at all.
I just, it pays
We're
the
supposed
bills.
to like hang out and like,
I know.
you know, chill and.
Talk to me in like maybe January.
Aw,
But
that's so long.
I'm working all the way from starting today until like Friday. Like I'm here Saturday, I'm here Sunday, babysitting something.
Oh my goodness.
That's all right.
I
Cool.
hope they're paying you extremely
Thank you.
well.
They do.
Excellent.
Thanks, Lena.
All right, see you then.
All right.
Man, just good people everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, last chance. Do we have it here or no? Okay, we do not. Guess who's gonna win?
Funny how things disappear like that, right?
Oh, it's fine, it's fine. Good thing is I know this subject really well, and it's one of my favorites. And so we'll get to talk about quite a few things today. Let's see what's going on here. Hello, everyone.
Make the sound of,
Yeah. No, I'm gonna close this door behind here really quickly, because sometimes the noise diffuses in. All right. Well, some people are online and obviously being very patient, because I am working on getting this together. Okay, you can see me, great. I was working on, I couldn't find the lecture for today. I know I have it. It's in several places. I'll find it as soon as this is over, I'm sure. But we're talking about matters of the heart. My name is Dr. Lena Gamble. I am a family medicine physician as well as a scientist with a focus in molecular pathology. And this is just fun for me. So thank you for showing up and enjoying this time with me. I really like to answer questions and give information that's helpful to people that comes from a scientific background, right? Like there's lots of people out here with lots of opinions and ideas and all kinds of things, but I wanted people to have a source of actual good information. So our subject today is on matters of the heart, and I want to get started with just a few details about what we're going to talk about. And then I've got a fantastic participant here who might be able to give me some questions. And even if she doesn't, like, because I wasn't sure who would show up, I literally have a whole printout of information that's actually really good that I was going to share as well. So we've got options today, and we'll see how much we can get through. You are very welcome to throw any questions that you have in the chat. I'll take a look at it, and then next week, I'll do my best to answer your questions as well. I can't look at it while we're here, unfortunately. So, here goes, matters of the heart. So we're talking about, you know, not our heart and love relationships and all that, right? We're gonna stick with the physical. We're talking about our physical heart, and our focus today is gonna be on things like heart attacks and strokes, and how do we prevent those, right? So for those who may not know, cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer in the world. It has been for decades. And a lot of times people will go to the doctor and their cholesterol will be high, for example, and the doctor will want to help them bring that down. What I have found is most people in general have no idea what this means, why we care, what it entails. None of that. So I'm going to explain just a little bit today. So we're going to have a blood vessel here, and I'll show you what cholesterol looks like inside your blood vessel. So there's our blood vessel, right there, okay? And we've got blood flowing through, going to all the different places in the body it's supposed to go. Fantastic. Well then, we might get a little cholesterol buildup. And I'll just put it down here like this. A little bit of cholesterol buildup. This is what we call normal, right? This happens in life. At about the age of 6 or so, we can start seeing what we call a fatty streak, right? Which is just like a tiny little bit of cholesterol. That's okay. Again, this is normal cholesterol buildup in the vessels in the body. That's how it works, okay? Is this a problem right here? No. Like I said, this is just what we see from living, right? If you're alive, these kinds of things are happening in the body. No problem. Well, the problem comes in when we start getting this cholesterol is built up a lot, right? And so now we've got blood trying to get through this vessel, but now we've got all this in the way. We still have a little bit of space that we can get some blood flow through, right? Here at the top. Why does that matter? Well, most of us can remember being a child. I don't know, I'm not gonna say most of us. There are a lot of younger people now who may not have had this experience. But, if you're hanging out outside, playing around, you grab a garden hose, right? You're watering the flowers and you're doing whatever, you're playing around. Okay, fine. You take your finger and you put it over the end of that garden hose, what happens? Water shoot all the way across to the other side of the yard, right? These are basic principles of physics, right? So you decrease the radius of the exit, and you increase the force that is required to get through. Well, that's what we're doing here, right? We've got our garden hose, i.e. our blood vessel, and we've stuck all this stuff in here, and now that space is small. That's literally like putting your finger over the end of the garden hose. Now, can you imagine pointing that garden hose at your brain or at your kidneys, right? Pressure increased, right? Think about it. If you pointed that garden hose with your finger over the end of it at a tomato, what would happen, right? You have tomato sauce, right? That's how that works. And so we don't need to point that much pressure at our brain or at our kidneys, right? And so your body does things to actually regulate your blood pressure. As we're younger, right, some things happen like vasodilation. I'm trying to think of words that aren't so big so people understand. So the blood vessel actually dilates. What does that mean? It flexes so that this little space becomes bigger. Well, again, we're still talking about principles of physics, right? So now there's more space for the blood to get through and the pressure decreases. That's how your body regulates your own blood pressure. Well, that works as long as you're young enough to do that. What happens when we get older and our blood vessels get stiff? They don't move as well. So that pressure continues to increase, and then we have to help control your blood pressure. That's one thing that we do, right? The other thing, though, is this cholesterol keeps building up, building up. What happens when it builds all the way up and now no blood vessels can get through? Yeah, that's a problem. It's called a heart attack if it happens in your heart. It's called a stroke if it happens in your brain, right? And you can infarct. That's just an infarct, right? And you've got names for these types of infarcts in different parts of the body. But you can infarct other parts of your body as well. Infarct your kidney, right? You can infarct your bowel, right? There's other opportunities to infarct things, which sounds terrible, and it is. That's why we try to prevent this with medications, right? And there are multiple ways to do this. Now, any questions about this part?
No, I'm good so far.
Okay, because to me, this is like the foundation, right? This gets us to, we're now all on the same page with cholesterol and why it's bad. Now, is cholesterol all bad? Well, no, nothing is all anything, right? We absolutely need cholesterol. Cholesterol is used to make our sex hormones, right? Anybody need estrogen, testosterone, those things? We need cholesterol for that. What we don't need is for cholesterol to hang out in our blood vessels. So it's not that cholesterol is all bad. That's not at all the problem. And so, yeah, so decreasing your risk of having that kind of infarct is what, when you go to the doctor and they tell you they need to bring down your cholesterol, that's what that's all about. Now, this is where it gets interesting and a little bit controversial. And so, since I am no stranger to controversy, and neither am I averse to it, we're gonna just dive right in. So, let's talk about some controversial topics, because there are medications that we can use to decrease cholesterol, right? There's several of them. You've probably heard of some of them. We'll talk through a little bit in a minute. Now, medications come in what we call classes. There are classes of medications. What does that mean? There's some, well, in general, this is a very broad and general way that medications work. And I don't want to offend any of my other scientists or doctors who actually know how medications work. But I'm going to use a really simplistic analogy that will help people understand. Okay? So it's kind of like your body needs certain things turned on and turned off. Well, in order to do that, you have to have the right key to fit into a lock. Okay? And so sometimes we call these receptors and ligands, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to call it keys and locks. Okay, so with the key, you need the right key to turn the right lock, and then that sets off an entire cascade of other events right down the line. Now sometimes your key can look like, I brought some little, okay, I don't know if you can see these, there you go. Some little things, say this is one type of drug, right? And this is drug A. All right? Now, drug A is in a class of drugs. Here are the other drugs that are in that class. See how drug A is similar to the drugs in this class? Now, here's drug B. Drug A and drug B are not in the same class. They are very different, right? They both have functions, but they're different. So with drug A and all the other drugs in the same class as drug A, they can perform in certain ways. I didn't test this beforehand. That doesn't work. My whiteboard is magnetic. So this will stick to metal. There you go. All right, so we've got drug A, and it's, look at that. Look at its cousins over here in the same class. I call drugs in the same class cousins because they kind of look alike and they kind of behave the same. You know how you and your cousins would run around in a group when you were younger? Yeah, like that. That's what drugs in the same class are in my head. They're all cousins. So I let them hang out, you know, like this. But what if we have drug like B? Well, drug B is different, right? Here we've got drug B, and it can actually act on the whiteboard as well. But it acts differently. Can it stick to things like A? No, it's a different drug. It functions differently, right? So it can do that. And look, we've got other kinds of drugs in the same class. They can also function in a similar way, right? They can write on the whiteboard. So this is how drugs work, right? You've got them in a class. They function in a certain way, differently than other drugs. Now, why does this matter? Because there are certain classes of drugs that have been designed to work extremely well as keys in certain locks. What if I told you that there was a class of drugs, I didn't bring my eraser in, there's a class of drugs that we've known for about the past 30 years or so that can actually reduce the amount of heart attacks and strokes. It can reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes of individuals by 25 to 40%. That would be kind of impressive, don't you think? I think that's kind of impressive. There are some that can reduce it up to 50%. That's 1 out of 2 people might not have a heart attack or might not have a stroke because they're on this particular drug. I think that's impressive. Now, there's been a group of drugs, again, that have dominated the market worldwide and decreasing, right? And I think we've got an answer here. We're gonna get to that answer in just a second, right? Like, that is impressive. Now, I have some data here. It's actually, since their introduction, the late 1980s, so that's almost 40 years. Ooh, somebody's getting old. I don't know who it is, not me.
Right.
Since the late 80s, these have been one of the most effective public health interventions for cardiovascular health. And by public health, that's not like my dad or like, my uncle or my cousin, somebody, right? That's like worldwide, millions of people. This is public health we're talking about on a really large scale. So that is a huge intervention. If you can affect public health massively, you've got something that's really good and helpful. So, I'm just gonna read a couple more statistics simply because I think they're impressive. And I like data, right? Again, this isn't based on how I feel or what I think, and God knows ain't nobody paying me. If anybody knows any company that's willing to give me a check for saying these, please just direct them over here. I would like to have that. But for right now, I'm working for free. So here we are, I'm giving you the statistics. Coronary mortality, that's heart attacks, decreased by 20 to 25%. And this is over the past 40 years. Major vascular events, that's heart attacks you don't die from. So coronary mortality is heart attacks that you die from, right? Major vascular events are the heart attacks you don't die from, decreased by 25 to 30%. Stroke risk, right, decreased by 15 to 20%. Absolutely impressive. And this is, again, all over the world, not just, my chances are decreased by 15 to 20%. This is since I was born, basically, the risk of heart attacks and strokes, or the numbers of people dying from heart attacks and strokes, has been decreased by double digits. That's just impressive. Now, what class of drug are we talking about here? You've already guessed, statins. And so, it's true. And there are I hear lots of people who are just so against statins. Now, when you listen to this data, right? Again, there's no statin company paying me. But I'm just looking at data, right? When you're looking at the data, why? Why are people against statins? Let's talk about that, right? Why would anybody be against statins? I've got a couple of reasons that I'm going to go through. One, folks are concerned about side effects. Valid concern, right? We don't have any medicine anywhere in the world that doesn't have side effects. That's just the truth, right? So we've got, in our terminology, we have short-term, we call them adverse effects, but for y'all, I'll keep calling them side effects. And then we have our long-term, right? These things matter. Short-term versus long-term, that matters. Why does it matter specifically for this drug? Is because it's a long-term drug. The maximum benefit that you gain from statins happens at about 7 years. 7 years. So you take 7 years of statins, and that decreases your risk of heart attack, decreases your risk of stroke. It literally decreases all-cause mortality. That's a mouthful. Let me write that down. Decreases all-cause mortality. That is huge.
Not just cardiovascular.
Not just cardiovascular. Exactly. So that's kidney disease, that's cancer stuff, that's all kinds of other things are decreased with one drug that you take for 7 years. So much data, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, probably 100,000 at least. If we add these studies up, more than 100,000 people have been studied to get this data that shows this. Absolutely impressive. So, but short-term, long-term side effects, these are what people are concerned about. Now, I think we touched on it a bit last week, definitely worth going over. Risk-benefit analysis, right? What does that mean? I like to use my cancer drugs for this because people understand, right? Like I don't have to explain to you that chemo is dangerous. Everybody knows that, right? Chemo itself will kill you if the cancer doesn't. That's how bad these drugs are. So, for example, I remember actually, this is a real story. We were in, I'm not gonna say which country, but you know, I do my missionary work and volunteer work in different places, and I got an opportunity to go to another country. And in this country, you don't actually need a prescription to get lots of medications like we do here. I mean, we need a prescription for everything except aspirin, right? Like it's like you always have to go to the doctor for everything. Well, there is very different. So they're able to go to the pharmacy and just pick whatever they want and take it.
What?
Yes. Dangerous and scary. And I'll tell you why. Because the average person doesn't know things about medicine, doesn't know things about pharmacology. So anyway, I'm talking to this patient that comes in to see me, needing, refills of medication. I'm asking her history and what symptoms she's having, what medication she's taking, and she's just like, oh, had this headache, had this stomach ache, so I started taking this one, and she hands me this box, and I couldn't believe, so it's in a different language, right? And so I'm like using my Google thing and figuring out, and I'm like, no, that can't be the right, that can't be the right word. It's got to be something else. And so, I go to someone, a translator who speaks the language, and they spell it out for me, and I'm like, no, they got to be mistaken. Like, that can't be what they're taking, not for a headache, right? I mean, it's like methotrexate.
Oh my God.
Which is, exactly, that's what I said. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, you can't take that for, like, a headache, a stomachache. Please, like, don't. Like, I mean, at this point, I'm almost hyperventilating, and I'm trying to compose myself so I can be professional with the patient, but I'm just like, you're scaring me. This is not good at all. Why is that bad? Methotrexate is an amazing drug. It's absolutely helpful. We use it a ton when it's appropriate to do so. Methotrexate is also an extremely dangerous drug. It is one of our chemotherapy drugs, right? It can do lots of things. It has a really long list of side effects. I mean, it's just not great for a headache. That's the problem. And so this is where we do our risk-benefit analysis. I don't even know if it works for a headache. So that's the other thing. What if this patient was right? What if they were 100% right and methotrexate worked great for headaches? Would it be a good idea for them to take this drug for a headache? That's where our risk-benefit analysis comes in, right? So what's the benefit? Benefit, headache gone. Okay, that's fantastic. What is the risk? The side effects of this drug are like longer than my arm, this list. Not necessarily just the side effects themselves. I've got a different video that talk about side effects and why it's important to know how we come up with the list. But there are dangerous side effects that come with this drug. Is the risk of dangerous side effects worth the benefit of headache going away? Absolutely not, right? That's how we determine which drug to use when, right? So if this patient came in and she had cancer, or she had, rheumatoid arthritis, we use methotrexate at times, right? We use it for different things because it's beneficial. Well, if the benefit is that the bones in your hands aren't restructured because of the way that the rheumatoid arthritis disease works, that benefit then becomes worth the risk, right? And so that's how we decide which medicines to use for what. So let's get back to statins, the fun stuff that we're talking about today. So we've got short-term benefit, these are side effects we're talking about. Right? Side effects. Writing it on the side for full effect. Here we go. Side effects. Now, short-term and long-term. What are the short-term side effects? Everybody knows, like muscle pain, right? Short-term side effect. Where are the rest of them? Oh, GI upset.
GI.
Yep, that can be a thing. I mean, personally, I've had thousands of patients on these medications. I don't remember any coming to me with GI upset. Like, there could be some, but it's not like very common. Very common is muscle pain, right? I've had tons of patients come to me who have muscle pain. And so what we have to look at as well is not just what the side effects are, but we need to look at how often they're occurring, right? Because there are some side effects that are rare, and then there are some that are common. And so we need to know this as well, also in the other video. I'll probably try to find that video and link it to this one so people would know, because that was a good one as well. But yeah, so some are very common, some are not as common, and that's important to know. You can have some elevation of your liver enzymes, but that's transient. So I'm just going to put increased liver enzymes. And it's transient, and in doctor speak, that means I don't care. That's what that means, right? Like, it's just, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't hurt anything, and it goes away. Yeah, next. Okay, I just put that on there for the sake of a complete list for you. Headache and fatigue. Isn't that a complaint with like everything? I mean, you could just have that because it's like Thursday. Right, Lena? Okay, I'm not gonna write that down. Sleep disturbance. Also, is that actually linked to this drug? It potentially can be. Much less than 1%. Also multifactorial, right? That could be caused by just about anything. And so, also not writing that one down. Now, long term, let's use a different color, separate these things out. Ooh, purple. All right, long term side effects that we might want to be concerned about. New onset diabetes, right? That's a real thing. That could happen. Diabetes comes with its own constellation of all kinds of issues. So, is that something that we would be concerned about? Absolutely. We call diabetes DM2, all right? So it's diabetes mellitus type 2. So I just put DM2 for diabetes. New onset diabetes, right? Yeah, that could happen. That's about 1 case per 1,000 patient years. Now we're gonna get into some interesting way to talk. So, I told you how many years it takes in order for this to be beneficial. 7 years, right? And so when you get into 1,000 patient years, 1 in 1,000 patient years is gonna be your risk of the new onset diabetes. Pretty low. Definitely not 0, right? So there is some risk to this happening. And according to the studies, the benefit outweighs the risk in 95% of patients. So there are 5% of people who actually need to be concerned about this kind of risk. Also, do we know how to manage diabetes? Of course we do, right? Like, there's a million things that we could do to manage that should you get diabetes. What can we do for heart attack and stroke? Bury you. Right? Like, so now we got risk-benefit analysis, okay? Are we going to, what's the benefit? Not have heart attack or stroke. What's the risk? New onset diabetes. And a very small amount of people, 95% of which don't even have to worry about it. Very small, right? Risk-benefit, pay attention to that. Other cognitive effects. Now, these cognitive effects, I'm not even going to write cognitive effects. I'm going to write what it actually says, which is brain fog. Why does that matter? Because cognitive effects, people will start thinking of like dementia and Alzheimer's and all these things. There is 0 evidence, no increase in dementia or cognitive decline. I don't think I wrote that down. Or did I? Oh, I did. No, not that one. Boo. I wanted to say how many people were in the study that they did to show this, because that matters, right? If you've got a study of just 10 people, not very powerful. If you have a study of 100,000 people, way more powerful, right? That shows that dementia is not linked in any way to statins. What is linked is brain fog, right? People just not mentating as well as they usually do. So, reversible or discontinuation? That's the answer. Reversible. Anytime you have any type of side effect that is reversible, if I can spell it, you're golden. Why? Because that means you can freely take the risk without worrying about if it's going to actually affect you long term, right? Also, what we know, muscle pain, reversible. GI, reversible. Liver enzymes, the definition of that is reversible. So we're just gonna put reversible for all of these, right? So I think I should just be a lawyer for statins at this point, because I'm making the case of like why people need to be on statins, which is not my intention, by the way. But as a lot of people already know, like my heart is for taking care of people. And if we can keep people from getting to this point where this is all blocked up, and now you're having heart attacks and strokes, well, I like keeping more people alive. Like, that's a thing, right? So, and if I've got a fantastic way to do this with a whole class of drugs that gives me different opportunities to do this in ways that it works for different people, why wouldn't I want to use that? Okay, more long term. Ooh, we're doing fine on time. Okay, more long term. Hepatic injury. It's a clinically significant injury is rare, less than 0.01%. Hepatic just means liver. I'm gonna write liver for y'all. Liver injury. Less than 0.01%. Okay? Very important. You don't even need to routinely monitor for this. That's how rare this is. Now, myopathy, which is muscle pain, rhabdomyolysis, which is the breakdown of muscle, right? That is also extremely rare. So I'm going to put rhabdo for rhabdomyolysis. That's the breakdown of muscle, right? And it typically happens, so this doesn't, I think people, I'm trying to think like a patient, right? A person that doesn't know what this stuff means. For me, I know what this looks like is an event. It happens over a span of hours, a day or two, that kind of thing. And there's a breakdown of muscle. It affects your kidneys, which is what ends up bringing you into the hospital. And we catch it, and we give you a ton of fluids, and we take away the offending agent, and then you're fine. I don't want people to think that like, oh, if you take statins, your muscles will just be breaking down for years. That's not how rhabdo works, okay? Just so everybody knows, because how would you know that unless somebody told you? It's like, y'all didn't go to med school. So there's that. That's how rhabdo works. And it is 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000 people, okay? So again, extremely rare. And the way you handle this is you just stop taking it, and then you don't have it anymore. So reversible. Possible mitochondrial dysfunction. I'm gonna just put this over here. Possible mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, most people know, or maybe not remember from way back in biology, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, right? It's where energy comes from. Well, we don't want to do anything to disturb mitochondria, for sure, right? Now, what do we know about this possible mitochondrial dysfunction? What does that even mean? It's mostly seen either with very high doses, right? Or with polypharmacy. So what can happen if I've had patients, especially my elderly patients, taking 12, 14, 16, 22 drugs a day, right? Polypharmacy. Polypharmacy is literally defined as 3 or more And so when you've got folks who are on many, many drugs, and not just drugs, y'all, what else do people take? Whatever they feel like, whatever their neighbor says is a good idea, and their barber thought that was great, and maybe you should try this thing over here. Well, they think because these other things are all natural, they're not gonna hurt them, right? Y'all know cyanide is all natural, right? And so is heroin and cocaine and all kinds of other things that we don't need to put into our bodies. There are things that are all natural that can totally kill you. However, there are things that are all natural that use the same lock that the keys use. And if they do that, they interfere with the processing of the drugs. That can be an issue. There's some that get broken down the same way. So say, for example, you've got, just trying to think of a good example. You've got a traffic jam, right? You've got a yield, or one lane is merging in, and now you've got a traffic jam, and whatever was supposed to be broken down can't get broken down as quickly as it usually does. And so when you have things hanging around in your body longer than they should, because your body can't break it down because you're taking something else that's using that same pathway and causing this traffic jam, now you've got opportunity for toxicity. That's what that means, that's what that looks like. I don't know if I explained it well. Tell me in the comments. But, so when we have these kinds of traffic jams, they can cause, that's literally what this is. What it says is actually